You're listening to Session 76 of Primordial Harmony, a retelling of the classic elemental evil story in the Dungeons & Dragons multiverse. My name is Mike. I'm running this stuff, and tonight I'm joined by...
Hello, I'm Senna, and I'm playing Delia the Gnome Wizard and Snow the Elven Physical.
God.
And I'm kidding. So now we would be playing Hum the Gnome Bard and Maeve Adultman, the Eladrin Elf.
Hello, my name is Miles. I am playing two characters as well. I got Tadias Odenov, he's an Aasimar Seeker, and I also have Chadicus Winthrop, a human druid.
I'm Nyx, and I'm going to be playing Vox. She's a human rogue, and Bite, and she's a Tabaxi monk.
And I play... I'm Zaffin, and I play Zachary Vitalis, the Fire Genasi and or Fire Elemental Lord fighter, and also Vadik, the Paladin Hobgoblin.
Of Hobgoblin descent. Alrighty. Well, when last we left our heroes, Chadicus, Maeve, Bit, Snow, and Vardic find themselves facing down a group of gnolls at the entrance of the old crypt under the southern hill of Forstride. During the battle, Chadicus would have a spell of his stymied by a cultish mage hiding behind a corner. He was also subject to many arrows of a dark color that sapped his magical energies, similar to those Hum felt in the summoning classroom. Soon, skeletons littered around the room would rise and join the fight as well, throwing their rib bones at the party. After the fight, Snow would collect some of these arrows. Bit, with a spidericus on her shoulder, would scout a ways ahead. Spider-Chris would, on his own, would crawl along the wall and find several tombs in one direction, but more importantly, a group of gnolls that sought to ambush the party in the other, hiding around corners. He returned to inform the party of this, and better prepared, they strode further into the crypt. The pincer maneuver ambush planned by these gnolls was foiled easily, and were defeated by Gordon's task force. Meanwhile, back at the Wayshield headquarters, Zachariel began to tease out to Gordon and Floriana what he had learned in the Fire Cult's hideout. He also introduced them properly to Torlir. Hum played soft music as Tadias rested his weary body. Back in the crypt, GTF continued on and found the anti-elemental crystal. Snow approached, and the gnoll spawner rushed toward them, but instead of immediately attacking, it touched the anti-elemental crystal and grew in size and strength. They began to beat at the beast, but only got a few good licks in before the monster vomited a violent stream of half-developed gnoll fetuses that battered and disgusted the adventurers. After a confusion spell from Chadicus, a rain of radiant throwing stars from Bit, wicked fast sword slices from Maeve, ice from Snow, scalding steam from Kine, and two devastating critical divine smites from Vardic, the beast was put down. After catching their breath, Snow, a bit curious, touched the orb. It had a strange effect on her, to where, while having her connection to Oral, she felt she had no ability to manifest her wintry ice elemental powers. Deeply disturbed by this, though short-lived effect, Snow immediately set to destroy the thing. She was joined by Vardic and Maeve, and soon the crystal cracked and shattered, releasing yet another chaos elemental. Thankfully, GTF managed to destroy the thing without much more trouble. Finally done, they decided to leave, but not before Snow had a thought about the pool of ice down here in this crypt. They returned to the Wayshield headquarters. It was then that Gordon announced to all that, later that evening, with the Gnoll invasion on the downhill, he wanted to gather the excavators, GTF, and any other relevant parties and debrief. Snow and Vardic got up to a conversation about Vardic's abilities and their potential theologic implications, while Torlir, eager to find himself a forge, set to work in the communal forge at the block within the block adjacent. We return to outside the street, the street just outside of Wayshield headquarters, where the gathered heroes await this important debriefing. What will they do in that time? Well, we'll find out as soon as I change the music. kind of want this to end. Yeah, there we go. Alright. I'll take you guys to that cool map there. So, let's start by me going around the table, quote unquote, and asking what your guys' intent is, and we'll start with Cinna for Delia and Snow. Just give me a little, what do you intend to do in this little period of downtime you have?
Well, Delia is she feels all right, but she's a little tapped out. So she's looking forward to just hanging back and like resting and studying a little bit. But Snow looks. She's starting to look a little contemplative. And she is going to approach Maeve.
All right. Let's go down the line here. Kitties. Hum and
Hi.
Maeve. What are they doing?
So, Hum is hanging out with Tadias. She's really kind of worried about him. He looks tired and worn, and so she's just sitting by Tadias, just watching him, and she's playing some music. She's really working on a new song. And Maeve is looking a little bit, she's looking a little uneasy, kind of staring off into the distance, and she's found a little corner and she is scribbling furiously on a piece of paper.
All right. Miles, what are your two dudes up to?
All right. Tadias gone through a lot today. He's probably just sitting there, a little bit vacant, thinking about Katie and his family. Kind of listening to Hum as she kind of picks away, finding some calmness in it.
In case Miles forgot, his parents are inside. If that changes anything for him.
I know they're safe. It's just
Okay.
they went through a lot.
Yeah.
They also saw me, Tadias' mind husk going around angrily, like a wounded animal. Busy day. Chadicus, however, is more immediately focused on the holes that he got from the arrows and is trying to start mending them and heal himself, as he is just a little bit too old for this shit.
All right. Nix, what about your two dudettes?
Vox is with Gordon talking about, okay, where else needs help, because she wants to be helped. And Bit is probably resting and trying to look after Chadicus because she knows how old Chadicus is.
And she did see him get pin-cushioned recently.
Yeah. He's part of the group, so we want everyone, to be good.
All right. Zephin.
Zachariel is he's aware that everyone here is relatively safe, but he's more curious, like looking out over the to the south to see if there's any more gnolls coming. And Vardik is taking care of Modic's wounds.
I think, yeah, we'll get into that. So, okay. So as everyone kind of starts shifting around, or not shifting around, you wait, where'd the guy go? Where'd he go? Oh yeah, okay. anyone who is sort of looking around sees Stoneflame with his hand shielding his eyes. He's looking down the hill, and he says, "Hey, wait a minute. You said that there was only one Goliath in town and that they were dead." And if you follow his gaze down, you see.
Let's see.
Who do we see, Mike? Who do we see?
So, coming up the road, you see a Goliath woman with this really intense look on her face. And she's walking so fast, she looks like she's almost charging towards you. And she pushes aside the barrier and kind of tries to put it back. And she says, "Which one of you is this Gordon?"
So Gordon is like is in the middle of a conversation with Vox, or was, as Stoneflame pointed him out, and he was talking about like, oh, let's just. He says, "No, we're going to hold here for a moment. I'm a little bit concerned." But then after that whole exchange, he's looking out, and he sees this Goliath woman, and he says, "That'd be me." And he says, "Do you mind putting that back?" And then he like gestures to one of the Ron, the way shield over here, and he like dutifully walks over and like puts it back in place as this Goliath woman approaches him.
I hear that you have the people who are the best warriors ever. And I need the best warriors ever.
Gordon gestures
Someone
around.
Killed my brother.
He gestures around to everyone, and he says, well, the people around here are quite potent.
Oh, goat poop. What are you doing here, you stupid puddle maker?
Stoneflame shakes his head, and he says, "Wait a minute." He says, ooh. Hold on. Pause for just a second. He says, "Oh, Mooncaller." And he furrows his brow. "That was just one time. That was just one time."
Or 5.
Okay, it was one time with the goats. Just one time with the goats.
You killed all the goats.
No, I didn't. I washed them away. It's very different.
Oh, how could you let the Gorbash die in this city and be here? I am so disappointed.
I wasn't here when you died.
Who was here? The people, those militia guys? They are morons.
Gordon kind of furrows his brow. But
Excuse me, you realize that the city was under siege, right?
Who are you?
My name is Zacchaeus Vitalis. I'm a veteran wage shield.
I am Ren Droomcall. I am Gorbash's little sister.
Strange, Gorbash never mentioned his sister.
He never mentioned the wheel shield. I am here to avenge my brother's death. Somebody killed him.
How do you know of your brother's death?
I came here to see him. I hear these songs in my head, and they say Gorbash needs my help. And so I come down from the mountains, from our village, and I come to the city, And I get to the city and there are no guards at all. And so I go to the door and I told them to let me in. And they bring me to this Colonel Blaze. Nobody tells me what's going on, and they place me in front of his body.
Gorn's, Colonel Blaze probably wanted to tell you himself, considering you are his kin and Colonel Blaze was his commanding officer.
No, he told me.
Well, very good. I mean, not good, but...
But nobody can tell me how he died, and I need to know this.
I imagine it was probably from the siege of Knowles. A lot of people have...
I am great warrior in my village. Ask Puddlemaker over there, he knows.
She's pretty strong.
I will fight for my brother's honor.
Wait, hang on. Stoneflame, you knew Gorbash?
He says, there are a lot of people named Gorbash. I didn't know it was Ren's sister, or Ren's brother.
He probably didn't know it was Bird Caesar, but it doesn't make any difference.
He laughs at Bird Caesar. That was a good
keep
time.
Laughing over there.
No, it was a good time. That reminded me of better days.
Well, I assure you, none of us here know who killed your brother, but Gorbash would be what I would consider a friend, and we would like to find him. He's a murderer.
Well, if you are my brother's friend, then you are my friend. And we will fight them together.
Well, we have a bit of a situation here.
Let's put a pause on that scene real quick. Is anybody doing anything? Just go around the table. What are your guys' reactions to this person just showing up? What's Snow's reaction, Delia?
Delia's a little amused. And Snow is... She was going to approach Maeve, but with Ren showing up and demanding to see Gordon, she's more, she's just quietly observing. Like, her arms are folded, and she's watching the interaction between Ren and Stoneflame and Zachriel. And
Alright.
I guess my question would be, how much does Chadicus know of Gorbash?
He knows of the militia.
People in the town, but I don't think there's any relation.
There's no relation. I mean, he knows that this is a person that he's probably heard the name, and he knows that this person was the marshal for the militia around the Northern Hill Elemental Industry Hill.
Mm-hmm.
He took care of things there, but beyond that, I wouldn't think that they've come into contact much.
Well, I think Chadicus would just be also a slight bit amused and just be curious and looking it over, just watching her rip on Stoneflame.
Tadius too.
Tadius is still kind of conked out. He's just looking. There's just a loud talking lady.
Got it. What about Nyx, your characters?
Oh, I think Bit would still be with Chadicus, just watching the whole scene.
Okay.
Vox, I think, is right beside Gordon there, kind of a little bit in front of him because she saw this big woman, come right up to him, and Vox is kind of protective over Gordon. But she's playing it. Sorry, she's just letting it play.
Cool. Alright. Is Vardic doing anything? Or is he just watching too?
He was in the middle of wrapping one of Modic's wounds, but he's looking over and is not sure what to make of this scene. He's a little cautious.
Okay. Hum. I mean Hum, but the person who controls Hum, Kitties.
Hum thinks this is hilarious. She's giggling at this point. Maeve, on the other hand, has walked up to Snow and whispers in Snow's ear and says, I have to go. The note says everything. Don't follow. And she uses the distraction of everybody to slip out.
Snow palms the note and watches her leave.
Gordon
And then opens it and reads it.
Gordon clears his throat. And he says, well, I'm sure that your brother's death is connected to everything that's been happening in Couyrit-Dwolm. I would appreciate you perhaps joining our ranks and assisting us. Once we get a bit of an all-clear-ish, once we get sort of a message from the militia that things are quieting down, I have the plan to bring you all in and we talk out what's been going on since this whole thing started. Will you join us?
My axe is yours.
Oh yeah, what's her axe like?
So she has this big, beautiful battle axe. It's dual-headed. It's shaped almost in a moon shape, the blades. And at the very end, there's like a granite knot that looks like a full moon. It's, it's about the length of her torso.
What about, is there anything on the handle?
So it's got some carvings and it's hard to see what they are. But it's quite ornate. And then you see these little fibers hanging off of it. It's braided. They're these white. It looks like fur almost, but they look too thick to be fur. And braided into it is a bird feather. And in the center of the blades, you see this carving of almost what looks like a wolf's face into the center of the blade.
Well, good to have you, Ren. And he goes to shake your hand.
She shakes it heartily, like not realizing her strength, kind of a little too heartily.
Gordon, he does the thing where he is looking you straight in the eyes, looking up at her, straight in the eyes, and is doing his absolute best not to wince.
You look like you're a good man. I think this is going to work out really well.
Well, that's the hope, he says, looking around, meeting Zachriel's eyes, and Vox's, and anyone else who would give him that glance.
When he meets Zachriel's eyes, he notices that Zachriel is glaring at this newcomer.
Ooh.
Snow's gonna hand the note off to Bit. Not wanting to interrupt, but just...
What's this? Okay, I take the note and I read it.
Do you want to read this aloud, or is this trying to be subtle?
I mean, I'm gonna end up giving it to Traticus to you, so I don't know if you just want to,
Oh, it's like school. Pass it on.
Yeah.
So the note makes its rounds, I suppose. And I don't know. I could read it, but if anyone else wants to read it, maybe we can do like a thing where it's in the character's voice. If you want to do that, kiddies, or I could read it. I don't care.
I can read it.
All right. It's like one of those scenes where like the note is like, you know, superimposed on the image of like them reading it, like in freaking Super Mario 64.
Oh, you can see Maeve writing it, like at a desk and everything.
Or like in that corner, like she said, she was sort of under the awning and just like.
All right.
So it says, Snow, Bit, Chaticus, and Ignacio. I know that my absence is a surprise, especially with the circumstances being as they are current. I apologize for leaving in such a rush without saying goodbye. I could not risk y'all wanting to follow me and taking you away from the important tasks that Gordon will be assigning y'all in the coming weeks. Today, seeing Zachriel and his Floriana together made my heart start aching. I needed to return to my true, singular mission, finding my love, Raridan. Raridan and I have been bonded since we were children, without consent. We were separated when we crossed over from the Fae, trying to escape our fates of our families. Our families had decided for us. I have been searching for him for over a decade. I feel that he is close, down deep in my heart, and cannot go on fighting for others without knowing he is safe. I fear with the dangers of this area that my darling Raridan has been injured or worse. Snow, Chaticus, Bit, Ignacio, I hope you find leniency in your heart for me. I have enjoyed your company and your skill in battle. Snow, your skill in your craft is awe-inspiring, and your devotion to your goddess is so powerful. Your Auriel has chosen wisely a true warrior to represent her in battle. Chaticus, you are such an enlightened man with an amazing way with words. Your magic, while frightening sometimes, has a true whimsy that I will never forget. I know that you'll always be a true hero. Bit, sweet Bit, your beauty is beyond compare, and you add a brightness wherever you go. Ignacio, I'm going to miss your witty ways and your fiery magic. I only regret we did not have one more battle together. Please all, do not chase me. I feel the same devotion to you as I always have. Call me if you need me. If I can come, I will. At this time, I need to find my Raridan. My heart aches to be with him once more. In fellowship, Maeve.
My heart.
Hey,
Aw.
speaking of Ignacian, where is he?
Oh, I mean,
That's Zachariel asking.
I know that's Zachariel asking, but I guess we're really getting a little in the weeds here because he wasn't reading it, unless he was. It's up to you guys. Do you want to share the? Do you want to say what's going on or what?
Okay, well then, Zachariel's going to ask anyway. Where is the Firemancer?
He had certain issues he had to deal with. He left us before we arrived at town.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes, things have been very hectic for all.
Well, I don't know if we're out of the woods yet, are we, Gordon?
Could be. I mean, he like scans the hill, and he puts his hands on his hips, looks down. Well, there hasn't been any gnolls running at us for the better part of an hour, and at this time yesterday they were still crawling around. I'd like to think that soon we'll get somebody coming to us telling us that things might be quieting down. If you're still worried about any of your loved ones that aren't here, feel free to check on them.
Well, I hope Spice Daddy wasn't here.
What is a spice daddy?
Oh, if somebody else wants to answer, please.
Please. Chadicus will approach as he did the thing for Zachriel's retirement party. He says, Spice Daddy is a persona, if you will. He's a person who sells and deals particular flavorings for foods and has a penchant for things that might make your tongue a little tingly.
Oh, I like the spicy stuff.
We'll have to find some.
That sounds like it will be great adventures.
Yes, just make sure you're careful around your eyes while you eat. So Gordon, was there something we wanted to be doing right now, or were we trying to just refortify this position?
He taps his foot. He says, I think in perhaps an hour, if we don't hear anything, I'm going to reach out to the militia myself.
Understood.
Couldn't we send a messenger? Familiar?
That's what I was planning on, yes.
Snow is gonna turn a bit and say, I know this may not be the most opportune moment, but there is someone I need to take care of.
What's that?
There is a certain honor I must bestow upon Theo for helping me defend my temple. I don't mind going by myself, or...
Are you sure?
You may come along with me if you so choose, but it's something I've been bidden to do, and I must do.
I'll call Chadicus over, seeing as we're a group, so I want him to know too.
Oh, coming! I go over. Yes, what is happening?
Should we accompany Snow?
Accompany her where?
It may sound silly to you, but I've been bidden to reward Theo for protecting my goddess's temple.
I don't see anything silly about that at all.
Not one bit.
But, 3 individuals is not always the safest. Should we bring our new friend, show her the town?
I have no qualms with it.
Don't let her know, but she is a spitting image of my late wife.
Who?
Go look at Chadicus's sheet when we made the character. I have an Goliath wife.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, dude, I totally forgot about that.
She died. That's how I got into the excavators.
That's gonna be...
She was an excavator.
Then turns to Chadicus. You lucky dog.
Very wonderful woman. When I was a little bit younger, she would pick me up and put me high places and just laugh at me.
This could get dangerous. This could get dangerous.
I think Bit's trying to hold back a little bit laughter.
Well, I look forward to these interactions.
Snow grins just the tiniest bit.
Wow, I got a smile out of Snow. Let's do it. All right, so I turn and say, Ren, would you come here, please?
Oh, sure.
So, it sounds like you were potentially coming among the ranks. Have you seen all of the city yet?
Oh no, I came in the gates and I went to where they were keeping my dear brother, and then they told me come here, and I just marched down that road as fast as I could.
I see. Well, we were going to run an errand in the city. We thought this would be a good time to show you a little bit of the city, and also if we run into any of those gnolls that might have been responsible for particularly a portion of Gorbash's death, perhaps this would be an opportunity for you to exact some of that revenge you spoke of earlier.
Oh, I love revenge. Let's go.
An extra hand is always good.
Oh, wait. Maybe I should ask Gordon if it's okay, though.
Oh, please certainly do.
Gordon's just like watching this whole thing.
Mr. Gordon, is it okay if I go with these people?
Of course. You need take care of some business. I know you can handle yourselves. I think we're mostly secure here. I just don't want to all go inside and leave the barricades untended.
It'll be okay. I am a mighty warrior. They will be protected.
He stifles a smile and he says, absolutely.
Well, if you would...
Is this your whole group? This seems like a lot of people here for this just to be your group.
Well, the way shields are very well supported with many individuals, but this group of us three, and now you for the moment, would be doing the errand. So it would just be Bit, Snow, and myself, Chaticus, going with you.
Yeah, I could protect that many. Let's go.
Wonderful.
I love her.
Yeah.
Alright, the four of you? There's four?
Well, I think
Vardik's talking to
Bit's-
Mydic, so if he wants to come around.
Alright.
Bit's gonna be like, well, what do we do about... Oh shit, name blank.
Vardik.
No, Before Vardik.
Ignacio.
Ignacio?
Ignacio. Did we ever hear about what we're supposed to do with Ignacio?
He said you sent him ascending, and he responded with "Don't follow."
Sounds shady for Ignacio.
Oh.
Sounds like
yeah.
a lot of people don't want people following you guys. What's going on?
I think he got hit up with a booty call and he just ran off on us.
I would never have passed him.
We still are short.
But we
I
will.
don't think you're gonna grow anymore.
No, I'm quite done growing, unless you mean widthwise. But we were traveling with a friend behind you. If you look, there's two hobgoblins over there. The mister on the left was a very capable warrior, actually.
Well, he looks like he could kill some things. We probably should take him, because it might be a little hard if it's a bigger group than 10. Well, for me. I mean, I don't know about you guys. Hey, Hobgoblin!
They both turn. Vardik, at this point, Vardik has definitely patched up Madik decently. And he's like, moving his arm, like, I'm good. He says,
Yeah, he's not like tending to him like a child because of the hobgoblin
oh, this is like
trait,
a solidarity.
You know what I'm talking about? Well, he's trying to hide that he's helping him. As they have saving face.
Yes. Madik just kind of looks up and says, he says, you know what he says? He says in Hobgoblin to Vardik, he says, I foresee you completing greater deeds in your future, Vardik.
Perhaps, and I need to say goodbye to all the ones we've lost.
A place of a holy place seems a proper area to do that.
I believe that would be a good place, but they have not invited.
It's true. We cannot invite ourselves.
Oh, we are strangers here.
You see these two hobgoblins just chatting in hobgoblin language. Goblin language.
You cut out there for me. What'd you say, Mike?
You see these two hobgoblins chatting in hobgoblin, or goblinoid, goblin language.
Goblin.
Goblinese.
Rabble, rabble.
Rada
I
rada.
know. Right? I
Well,
think
didn't
they
Ren
are
call
busy
out to
right
them?
now.
Yeah, she said hobgoblin. They both looked at her.
Yeah, he said hobgoblin, they both looked at her. And I was just, like, playing out the conversation they had before she called out to them. Yes, says Muddock.
Yes.
The one warrior that was with this group, we are going to leave, and we probably could use a little bit more power. Do you see how small some of these are? We might need a little bit more battle power. Would you be willing to come with us? We've got some things to do.
We're being talking down to, literally.
Oh no, you are. I'm sure you are a powerful man, but you don't have a sword.
No, I don't.
I would like to come with you, if that is fine.
Come, we'll go. We have to figure out burials for my brother too.
I have much to as forgiveness.
And so the
Come,
five
let's
of
go.
the five of them start hiking down the hill, heading towards the no, it wasn't there anymore for sure. Hiking towards the temple district.
So, Mike,
Yeah.
I want to stop by Oriel's temple first.
Tell me how you get there. Where does Snow lead the party?
I think we're just gonna go up and to the left. This direction here.
Emblem Road. So you guys find as you're making your way across town that things have indeed quieted down. You pass by and with your footfalls, when you get to like here, you hear a shutter open and a pair of eyes are looking out, and then they just kind of watch. And then like a little hand that obviously belongs to a child is just like waving hello. And then it's like quickly pulled back in.
Ren
Roddick would do
waves
that thing where
wildly.
you go to wave and stop as the hand is pulled away.
But then you hear a hi.
Hi, little person.
And you hear a little gleeful chuckle. And you guys continue on, and as you guys make your way, you find that there's many gnolls, but they are mostly corpses. All corpses on the ground.
This looked like it was mighty bad.
You do also see a few bodies of militiamen, but they're much rarer, less common than the gnoll corpses.
Were these created by us? Because we're in the same area.
Some of them were. Yeah.
Okay.
Some of them
I
were.
wasn't sure if there was more fighting since last time.
Some of them were, but some of them were already there when you had to engage with gnolls.
Good.
The temple, let's see. The temple is lit. You stand in the shadow of the tree there, and the temple as the sun starts to crawl down a little bit. It's late afternoon.
Okay, we're gonna go inside. And I'll invite everyone to please I know with the rampant destruction, that's not much, but please make yourself comfortable for a little while. I must prepare. And then I'll disappear into the her quote unquote living quarters.
What's the inside look like?
It is.
I can take you there.
It's basically like a long hall, a little bit, like a rectangular room. There was like pews and like a couple of tables, but they were used as like boarding materials whenever the gnolls were attacking. And then there's a small room towards the back near the altar where she sleeps.
He's not there anymore either, and they're not there. And let me get Vardic so you can see what's going on.
I'm blind!
Actually, let me just remove dynamic lighting. Now you'll be able to see.
I'm blind!
You can't see it all still?
Cannot.
Oh, it moves around with me. That's really weird.
It does.
I need Ren added.
I don't think the token has sight.
Well, no, I disabled dynamic lighting, so it shouldn't matter.
There's like the dynamic lighting shadow is essentially moving with.
How about now?
There it is.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
I have to
Refresh
take you guys there and off the page. Kind's not there either. Okay, let me take your characters there just for the jitski. But please continue. By the way, music? Now or later?
When she comes back out, just from getting ready is the music.
Okay, wait. I gotta get these guys. Copy. Here. Paste. Your music.
Okay, so after a little while, it takes Snow like 10 or 15 minutes to. She leaves into this little room, and then she comes back out. And when she comes out, she is garbed in this softly draping like white dress that fades to icy blue at the hem. It has a blue sash, cinches the waist of the dress together, and she wears a crude silver circlet around her head. She has her hair down, and she has an overrobe made of like a linen material draped over her shoulders. The robe is the same ice blue color as the sash, with white snowflakes clumsily embroidered like along the trim. You can tell that she made this outfit herself. And she holds ice in her hands and looks towards you guys, and she says, well, I'm ready to go. What was the temple that we left Theo at?
The Temple of the Quorum Four, which is where essentially all of the Fourth Stride clergy is holing up and waiting out the big old Gnoll invasion.
And that's up this direction?
Which is this one here.
Okay. So Snow's gonna lead the way.
You feel a chill go down your spine, Snow, but it's a comforting chill. And everyone can see that as she walks, she leaves patches of ice behind her.
She is like an ice princess.
And again, you see two militiamen archers up at the top, and they look confused. They had their arrows, or they have their bows in their hands. They look down and they see you're obviously not gnolls, and they kind of, one cocks his head. They look at each other, and then they just kind of say, "Okay." They give that resignation, like, "All right, yeah, all right. This is the thing that's happening."
I mean, they have to recognize us from earlier.
Oh no,
right?
they do totally.
Okay.
But they're aware of your presence, is all.
Snow
they
is going to go in.
What was your question?
Do they keep it like at the ready when they see the hobgoblins?
Not only a
they do.
hobgoblin, but a huge Goliath.
The Goliath, that's not too off the cuff for them because they've known a huge Goliath. But they do, like, they tense. They're a little tense. But then they see that Snow and Chaticus, two priests. I mean, they're essentially priests, the same station, sort of. And they see that they're not, like, fighting each other, so clearly they're on our side. And they use their judgment. But they still look kind of tense. One of them kind of, like, he has a quiver at his belt, and he's got, like, his hand on the fletching of an arrow. But he doesn't make any movement beyond that. And Snow, you go to enter. The door is shut, obviously. And it is barred. So you find that you can't really open it.
I'll look up to the archers and
Oh, sorry, go on.
ask them to just, can we please enter?
Oh, sure, let them know. One disappears. A couple minutes pass. You hear the sound of wood on wood rubbing, and then the door opens. They obviously unbarred it, and a couple of eyes peek out, and a priest that Chaticus recognizes from the Temple of Lathander, an acolyte of sorts, opens the door and says, yes, come in.
So Snow will enter.
One second. He leans to Chaticus, and he takes a look at Vardic, and he says, "Is he okay?"
Oh, yes, he's very well. He helped us. Do you know that there was an elemental kind of blight happening in the city? He helped us rid it of the entire city, so he's very well checked out.
Oh, okay. I'll start passing the word so that the priests don't have a fright, and he, like, scurries away. Please continue.
I turn to Vardic. I say, "Sorry about Stevens. He's a little bit young, a little green around the edges."
It is fine. We expected as much coming to this town.
Well, you've shown that you are very admirable and very honorable, so please follow.
I thank you.
Proceed, Senna.
Is Theo in here?
You walk in a bit, and as soon as you get a few feet in, and you see the crowd of clergy, you see, like, Theo pops his head up, and he's, like, in a corner, and he just freezes, looking at Snow, and then he says, excuse me, sorry, pardon," and then he starts making his way to Snow, and there's not a clear space here. It's still kind of crowded. Like, it's crowded with people, but they're not smushed like sardines.
I'm gonna turn and hand ice to Bit.
Take some ice from
And we'll sort of find, like, a more open area.
You're not going to find a more open area unless you make
Okay.
it an open area.
I'm going to rest one of my hands on Theo's cheek and say, Theo, I think you understand why I'm here.
He takes a breath. His chest raises, lowers, and he gently nods. And you feel him almost like it's very slight, but you sort of feel him press against your cheek just a little bit. I mean, against his cheek against your hand, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And he nods. He says, "Yes, no."
Theo, our goddess rewards strength and resilience. The power of winter and cold courses through us as we do her bidding and spread her message throughout the land. The cold gives us strength. It empowers us, it hardens our blood and weeds out the unworthy of our gift. It is through her grace we thrive. Her mercy brings the ebb and flow of the seasons. Her wrath punishes the unworthy. And her divinity grants us powers and strength we could never dream of otherwise.
Let me butt in. As you're saying all that, people start to take notice, and they start clearing a little bit of an area, and clergymen of all the different portfolios and gods and domains are looking on. Some of them look a little nervous with the reputation that Snow has, but they give reverence as they stand back about 10 feet, giving a nice little area.
Theo, through your actions and bravery in protecting her temple, Ariel has deemed you worthy of her mark. Please kneel and accept her blessing.
Theo goes one knee, two knees, and he sits on his heels. And then he puts his hands on his lap, and he looks up at Snow.
Snow, she takes a step back, and she closes her eyes and breathes deeply for a few seconds before stepping forward again. She puts her hand out, her palm forward, and you see her fingers. They turn this like sort of dark shade of blue, almost frostbitten, before bright azure and white energy coalesces in her hand to form a long, jagged dagger made out of ice. She places the palm of her free hand against Theo's forehead and like gently rubs her thumb over his forehead before leaning down.
Shivers.
And she begins to delicately carve a 6-pointed snowflake identical to her own into Theo's forehead.
There's a slight gasp in the crowd as Theo's body quakes as Snow does this work. But he does not move.
And then when I'm done, I'll take a step back, and she dismisses the ice dagger, and she says, "Rise, Theo, beloved of Ariel."
He rises, and you can see him trying to suppress a smile. Divine sense. That's a good question. I guess you sense, what can you get with divine sense? Can you key it? Celestial fiend or undead, yeah. The type, but not its identity, blah blah blah. The hollow. Okay. You definitely sense, number one, you sense the hollow spell. Absolutely. You sense the consecration. You also sense celestial presence almost everywhere in here. And when you focus your attention on Snow and Theo, you also sense celestial, but there's a sort of different flavor to it, if that makes sense. It's definitely not... It's definitely not all celestial in there.
Okay.
Snow grabs both of Theo's hands and gives him a knowing look before turning and retrieving ice from Bit and thanking Bit.
I'll give a nod.
He takes a shuddering breath and he bows reverently. And he says, I am Orals.
There are some things that I still must take care of tonight, but I trust you will be safe here. And things are looking up as far as this attack on the city.
He nods. He says, I will do whatever you require of me.
I'll give them a soft little smile and then turn to my party members. Thank you for obliging me in this.
Vardic's eyes are wide.
And slowly, the clergy here is distributing themselves and their soft whispers. One acolyte, young boy, comes up and he says, "Is he all right?" And then there's like another person with a holy symbol for a helm who just looks a little embarrassed, who's like kind of following after him, and he gives Snow an apologetic look if she were to turn around.
She does, and she says, he is more than all right. He's been chosen.
And like the boy looks up at Theo's mark. Is there any blood that's like dribbling out?
See,
What's it look like?
wondering about that, but I didn't know if that was like too much, if like the blood like frosted over a little bit.
Oh, you tell me.
I mean, I think that would be pretty cool.
Then that's what happens. It frosted over.
Chadicus will go up and kind of just like, wave over to Theo. Well, I hope you enjoy your day. I want to congratulate you. It looks like this means a lot to you.
He looks at Chadicus and he's got like, he can't help it anymore and he's beaming. And he says, "Oh, it does. Thank you."
You've done well. Snow should be very proud of you, and I think she is.
He blushes a little bit. And then he is just waiting. Yeah, he is awaiting Snow's further instruction, if any.
Well, I think now would be the time to head back to Aurel's temple and change back into armor and stuff.
Okay.
And then 2, go to the debriefing. Or
Hey.
2, show run around.
Hey, Mike.
What's up?
As I'm looking around at all these people, anyone who catches my gaze.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so Vardic looking around.
I'm looking to see if anything stands out to me or if anyone.
If anyone stands out to him. Man, this place seems wholly... You definitely feel uncomfortable. There's not a lot of familiarity here. There's a lot of humans here. Maybe one... Or not maybe one. There's like 2 elves. And then a smattering of half-elves. And then mostly humans. And a couple genasi too.
But still, like, just the general atmosphere and him knowing that it's hollowed ground. It does feel warm.
That part, yes. It does feel warm in that regard. But it's clear that the people here, they are not immediately trusting of you. But when you catch a couple of eyes, they kind of... You get a few empathetic, like, twitches back. Especially with older folks.
Are we ready to go?
Sure.
Probably time for us to return to Gordon.
Alright. So,
These would probably be the place I will find somebody who would help me take care of my brother's funeral, though.
are you saying
Did
that...
he have a faith?
Are you saying that loud?
Yeah, well, I'm saying that to
Anyone in particular?
the group,
Ah, okay.
just to who's standing with us.
Got it.
Ren, did Gorbash have a faith of some sort, a god he believed in?
Well, he is Goliath. He believes in Goliath gods, but it is tradition that we build pyre and we send him back up into the sky.
Well, I will very easily help you with this as soon as we return. I trust you still remember his body is in the north, correct? It was at the Citadel?
It is. It's with Colonel Blaze.
Well, then we will blaze the body with Blaze later.
Oh, you're a punny man.
Oh, I wasn't trying to make a joke. Okay, we'll do so.
So, yeah, Snow leads the party back to Earl's Temple, gets changed back into her armor, and then, where do you guys go?
It sounds like we're going back to Gorbash, unless we want to try to go deal with this body thing right now.
You mean Gordon?
Oh yeah, Gordon. We can go to Gorbash, technically, but that would be the same thing.
I think tonight is probably not a good idea to start, but I know I am not the only one who lost somebody. Did you guys lose anybody?
Lots. Not here, though.
Oh, I'm very sorry to hear about that. We should definitely do something about that.
I've been widowed for a few years, so no one on my side. Did you lose anyone? Bit. Not here. We already dealt with that one individual.
Bit puts her hand on her pouch. Not here, but yes.
Do you have somebody in that pouch?
Let's just say that our group is very good at exacting revenge on people who have done us wrong.
Oh, this is a very good group then. I am still really mad. I just found out. And you see these tears well up in her eyes. She says, well, enough of this. Let's get this done.
I like to think that this whole conversation was going on as you're walking and talking.
I thought so.
Yeah. Were you about to say something next?
Oh, yeah, okay, brain fart. I forget.
Okay, well, let me know. So, GDF makes their way back to the Wayshield headquarters, and as they arrive there, they see among the excavators, Gordon, your NPC allies, and the Wayshields, there's a militiaman who's talking to Gordon. And Gordon's nodding and looking at him. Let me take you guys to that map. Because it's a good stage. So, just... Oops. Okay. Are you guys you're still walking up? I mean, so to paint the picture, this is like when you're a few houses away yet.
Snow.
Yes.
You're goddess. From where do she hail?
She resides in Winter's Hall.
Winter's Hall. I said something in the temple. The ground was warm. There was a familiar feeling, and then something different.
Hmm.
Not bad, but different.
I'm not sure why you would feel that way.
And all of those people. Perhaps we should not have come here, me and Muddock.
Well, I disagree. I think it is good that you joined us.
He smiles.
And that all roads lead somewhere.
I like this.
So as you guys approach, you hear Gordon say, "All right, understood." And then the militiaman says, "Yes, after a few sweeps, we're going to send some patrols out on the outskirts and the farms, make sure that we pick off any of the stragglers, and then tomorrow, I think we can call an all clear." "Oh, good, excellent. Thank you." And the militiaman nods to him, nods to Zachriel, anyone else paying attention to this conversation, and he turns and he starts heading down the hill. And he looks over, he sees Vardic, and he stops.
I glare at him.
He like he like looks at Vardic in like half a panic, and then he looks around. He like meets Chadicus's eyes or Bit's. He's also a little put off by Bit, but then he settles on Snow. My God. One
I raise
second.
my eyebrow at him and meet his gaze.
Ren's just, she's classless, so she just looks at him and says, "These are our friends. Stop eyeballing them."
Is there a problem, God?
No. And he starts walking away. We're gonna take a 5-minute break. Militiaman awkwardly walks down the hill back toward the Citadel. Leaves you.
I'm gonna, walk in and join the other group.
Gordon says, "Alright, well, I was informed that," he says, for the benefit of the GTF, as excavators have heard all this, but I'll repeat it again. Says that Colonel Blaze wants to keep everyone sheltered in place this night, but thinks, after a few sweeps securing the outskirts and the streets, that we can start returning people to their homes tomorrow.
Well, this is wonderful news.
So I think we are clear to retreat into the headquarters, and I have a room in mind. And he looks to Ron, and he says, Ron, can you go and get John and Hector and bring them back? And he looks to Zachariel, and he says, do you mind if, or do you think it would be safer for your much more fiery friend to come back here for a moment, or do you think he'd be safe on his own?
Well, I suppose you might want to hear what's going on, so... But if he's content in staying in his work and thinks that he'll be fine... I mean, he is made of fire. I think he can take care of...
Alright, good. Ron walks off, and then a few moments later, John and Hector return, and you hear them kind of grumble about, like, oh, he was happy to get rid of us, actually. He seemed pretty distracted. By us? And they kind of grumble about it. Gordon says, alright, well, follow me. Stoneflame? And, Kine, was it? Kine nods. And, Floriana, you too. And everyone else, come follow me. And he takes you into the Wayshield's headquarters with all the crowded people. And, he's like, excuse me, and blah, blah. And, you get to, down this one hallway, and, fortunately it seems like it's a little less crowded in here. And, he opens a door, and, Zachariel, you recognize this room. This room is where, he and, any other Wayshields that have, like, a planned route. This is where they do a lot of their planning for where to go and what jobs to take. There is sort of cabinet inside, like flush with the wall. And he leads you all in here. And I have a little stage for that too. Give me a hot second. I'm just kind of assuming how you guys would be set up, but go ahead and put yourselves however you think you'd be. There's a few chairs in this room. Gordon goes to, oh yeah, he invites Modok too, who is against the wall. Gordon goes to a little cubby, and he pulls out a roll of parchment. And he has it in his arms, and he says, well, now then, I've gathered you all in the same room to debrief. I know that you all have told me much of your adventures already, but we need more information. We need more of a picture. It's clear that not only is Forstride under threats, but the entirety of the region. Therefore, and he rolls out this parchment, and he slaps down the map of Couyrit-Dwolm. And he grabs some thumbtacks and tacks it down so it doesn't roll up on itself. And he says, we'll start from, well, as close to the, and he does air quotes, beginning as we can, and we'll notate the map as we go. And I'm going to bring you to a version of the map where it's not the one I usually use, and you guys can draw on it, if you so choose. And if you have any questions at all, I didn't get a chance to make an NPC dossier. I wanted to, but things happened. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask.
I almost want to go get my drawing tablet. I'm going to be doing this with the mouse. Alright.
I mean,
So,
feel free.
yeah, it's going to take some time.
I've got mine.
There you go.
So he lays it down, and he says, "So when did all of this craziness start?" He looks around. He looks kind of at Zachriel and then Tobias.
It's been a difficult journey everywhere. But I remember that we rescued Floriana and Zachriel's family from this island over here. Note.
Oh. Before that, you found me in that cave.
Yes, but I don't remember where the cave was.
It was right outside of Fort Stride on the Rollford Road.
Where
No.
was your family taken? When the wave whelmed them, was it in the river?
Floriana shivers. She says, "Yes.
Crap, I'm gonna have to break out my notes.
Do you want a second to do that?"
I got them open, but I didn't note places, It's mostly names and things.
No, actually, I have them all stacked behind me. I have like 4 notebooks, so it might take me a second.
Oh, God.
Go for it. I'm gonna turn down the music. Oh, that's not the music.
Kitties took a lot of notes.
You guys waiting for Kitties to kick things off?
When she has her bug going again.
Alrighty.
I'm seeing if I have any notes on this one, but this was the last campaign that Nixie and I did with our friend.
Well, while you're waiting, I'm just going to note that I see 2 little faces that are being made right here. It's very cute. I see you.
Uh-huh. Wow, that does look like a face.
Well, no, they're being drawn.
No,
now.
but this part, like, even without the,
Yeah.
Even-
I mean, if you look at any of the 3 lines, they'll make little faces if you look at them the right way. Like, if you look at this one, you can see, like, a little face with the 2 eyes and the mouth as well.
I need to remake this on Wonder Draft.
Or this. Just kind of how, like, humans work. We see 3 points and we kind of just trying to make a face.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna delete that when we start. We'll get back to it. Actually,
like
who's doing that?
I bet it's Cinna? Is Cinna?
I'm the
Not me.
purple.
Oh, who's black? Who's got the color black?
Me.
Oh, it's Nick. She changed the color. There you go.
I like to think that Okay, which of your characters is doing that? I don't know.
Feels like a hum thing for sure. Hummerdelia.
Always blame the hum.
It's always got to be the gnomes. I think Vox would be a little too serious to be drawing faces, but maybe she's silly.
No, not Fox.
Probably Bit.
Bit, yeah.
Well, there was the island where we rescued Floriana and Sihara. Then there was back and Roland with the attack.
We dealt with the Feather Gale in both the Sky Pierce peaks into the north.
Oh yes, on that contraption that your uncle made.
Hey, right when you fell the big old creature, right?
Oh yes, that was a lovely part of the day.
And if I remember correctly, there was signs of the water cult in Mortrath as well, to the south of Roland.
Didn't we also see strange individuals on our way back from there when we were walking down the road?
I was a little concussed. I got knocked out by that crab.
No, I mean when we were walking out of the Feathergale area. Didn't we come across a group of travelers with strange markings?
Believe so, yes. We also sent all the crow people home. Wonder how they're doing.
Gordon, his brow furrows, and he says, "What?
It's been a lot. Hey, he's been a lot. I'm sorry. I mean, we should not worry about chronology. We should really look into where cults are and what territory they are affecting. Seems more wise than going about the other way.
There was that strange group of rangers or whatever they were inside the Conadir forest. The fire cult kept mentioning the forest that it was going to burn.
Well, they did do some burning south of it.
The Earth Cult was in Orborough.
Yes, come to think of it, do you guys remember that hallway that was blocked by a door in that temple? We couldn't figure out how to get through the door.
Right. Yeah, we got to the fire one, but we didn't get to the other one. Why?
Wait. I think you're talking about the Earth Door, right?
Yes.
That was in the Water Cult, quote-unquote, temple, is what they call it in the book. And that was...
Oh, no, I'm talking about the door in the stone monastery.
Oh, you did get through it, because Renwick helped you.
Oh.
And then you went down, and then you saw... So to remind you, you went down there, and you went down this long stair, and you found this hall, this corridor, cavern corridor that led on and on and on.
Speaking of Renwick, where is he?
We killed him. No, not Renwick.
We didn't
No,
kill
what?
Renwick. He's
I was
over.
thinking about-
Last
I
time he was
thinking of
in
the
like
smelly
Tummer.
one. Right. Who am I thinking of? It's the wind guy.
Ashwick?
Ashwick, that's the one.
Oh, Sulfur Butt. Yeah.
Yeah, so far, but we killed him back in the temple. It's got the big cloud above it.
And where was that? Gordon asks.
I point to the Sky Pierce peaks again.
And we came out of that fireplace around this area.
Yeah, right there. That's where we came out.
So those two temples, those two areas are connected.
Pretty much, Gordon, you walk in the direction, you'll find a cultist to kill.
It seems like, or at least from what we've noticed, 2 of the temples, but I think it's safe to say all 3, because we saw Kine in the fire temple, And then GTF found him in the water. So those two are connected for sure, which makes 3.
Kind nods. He says, there was a strange way in through a pool of water. And Stoneflame gotta summon his accent. There's also the temple that was connected to the fighter one, and is the one that got kicked out of. I could go through a door made of rock, and then a door made of fire from the other side. It was very interesting.
And I'm pretty sure in the air cult temple, someone told us about Ashwick leaving via similar doors.
Oh.
So I think it's pretty safe to assume that they're all connected.
Have we seen any sort of communication or assisting of each other between the different cults? Do they have any familiarity with each other?
There was that I don't know if it's in any way connected, but the ruined temple nearby with the I guess anti-elemental cultists.
And just when you say that, Zachriel, Sunius speaks to you for the first time since you've gotten here. And it seems like you kind of feel like she's been straining. And she says, I'm sorry for not speaking to you sooner. There was something blocking me and I had to relearn how to reach out to you. And then she pauses. And she asks, what would you like me to call you?
Zachriel.
Zachriel, I heard what those cultists in the area with the rift, what they said after their death. She says, do not take what they say lightly. The Princes of the Apocalypse is a title of a group of heralds for that dark force. In the days of the Cataclysm, they were titles of a group that sought to bring the evil Arco-Elementals into the material plane.
I relay. Suni is speaking to me again. She says that the Princes of the Apocalypse are a group of individuals that are aiming to bring these arch-elementals. And then she cut out. I couldn't hear the rest.
Back into the material plane.
Back into the material plane.
Gordon his eyes kind of widen for a second, and he furrows his brow, and he says, where did you get Suni's?
She was in a giant rock creature here underneath Forstride. When we fell into when we got our name, the Excavator.
Digging out was not fun. But also, just outside the Forstride, there is that temple, that desecrated temple with the weird elemental thing that started acting as the blight on all of the Genasi.
Snow's gonna place one of the spell arrows, down onto the map. The gnolls that were in that temple were carrying these.
And it's very strange. It feels like they wouldn't be capable of making such magic items.
These look familiar to you, Hum. You were pincushioned with arrows just like these.
Are you guys there?
Hello? Can you hear us?
Hello?
Oh.
Someone want to text her if she can't hear.
Try again, kitties. Test, test. Oh,
Nope. Oh boy.
she's gonna reconnect on her own. Oh, alright. She's gonna do a total refresh. Or her internet died.
Whoa.
Oh, she's green. Boy. That's worrisome.
It's just one of those days.
Just one of those days. Doing my best.
Did you get a check?
Oh, it's working.
Hey,
Alright, good.
Yeah.
good lord. What was the last thing you heard me say?
I heard, where did you get that? And I was guessing it was shovel. That was it.
Yes.
Okay, so Zachariel explained underneath Force Stride and that the for more detail the order of the tablets, and
Yep.
then Snow pulled out those black arrows.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got hit by those in the, in Akka. They were horrible.
They were being utilized by gnolls. And we did find instances where gnolls were being led by humans.
Against their will.
There was that interaction in Akka where the mages were making the gnolls disappear, and then that pit boss reappeared, and it looked like he was turning on the mage that had done that to him, but unfortunately he was killed pretty quick.
That also happened in the ruined temple.
Bardic says.
Oh yeah?
So why Force Stride? Why is this the place that they come to?
But it wasn't just Fourth Stride, because we saw them in Ouroboros, we saw them in Tamara. What was the name of that elf guy that was at the fires that are in Tamara he was talking about? What was his name again? When we were passing through on the way to Fourth Stride.
don't recall exactly how it was.
Randir?
In fact,
No, it was like Reardon, or maybe it was Randir. I could have sworn it was Reardon, though.
I have in my
don't
notes,
remember.
find Randir Samular underneath. I think Randir is the elf that knows something about Renwick's past.
Oh yeah, that.
yeah.
Remember
I think that was in
the,
town.
no,
that
no,
was an
no.
elephant.
Zachariel speaks up. Do you remember when we were going through the forest? You all bring it up all the time. I'm sure you remember it.
Only the frog part.
Yeah, it was after that.
Mhm.
Glancing over that, when we were rescuing that gentleman, that ranger dude came out of the forest, and he said that his leader, this Wren fellow, was stationed in the forest,
Right.
and that stood out to no one. I've never heard of this order, but I do remember, I think, Renwick talking about a brother. Maybe that was Delia. I don't remember.
Snow elbows whichever one of my party members is next to me whenever they say rare.
I think I was next to you on the map. Yeah, so you bumped me. What do you say?
Did you guys mention rare?
Yes, Zachariel. Do you know something?
Well, Maeve, she's not here at the moment, but she's left us to find a man named Rare.
Then she's likely going to the Canadier forest. One of our party members left us for a similar reason. Had family.
Yes, we should. I guess we have no means. I don't know where Alelia's family lives.
Do we think there's a connection between all of this and the elemental crises of the princes of the apocalypse?
Gordon says, I'm almost certain of it. At this point. He looks at Zachariel as he starts speaking.
I'm not sure. I'm sure it all fits together somehow.
You said you encountered human mages? In Akka and in underneath that crypt, did you encounter them anywhere else?
Ooh. What team did the Nerthal Woods fight? I think that was GTF, right?
Was GTF?
So, Chaddick is going to say, oh, there was also an encounter on the road into town from Rolid. We planted a tree to mark the area. There was a no kind of cave where some of the human mages tried to rough us up on the entrance.
It was right outside the tree line. There was no cave, but you did see. Never mind you.
I thought we followed it. Followed it inside.
You followed it.
the path.
You followed and you saw like a path, a very clearly like newly broken path that was like made by just a group of people just forging their way through the trees.
So yeah, I relay that.
Zachariel speaks up. We also, I have no idea who she is. I believe she may be of some import to that fire cult, but we did kill one of their. She looked more. She had an entourage, and there was a rift there that seemed to be connected to the plane of fire.
Yeah, that was that bard bitch. What was her
No.
name?
They called her Yennefer?
Vanifer.
Vanifer.
Yeah, but she dead now.
Yeah, she had this weird floating eye with her, didn't she?
Right. Tower.
Stoneflame pipes up and says, "Didn't she say something weird when we entered? She was praying to something."
Oh, I was talking about somebody else, but yeah, Vanifer that was in the Sky Pierce Peaks, right?
Well, we don't know if it was still in the peaks.
We went through on the doorways before we met her.
The one in the peaks, that was a woman with wings, was it not?
Resi?
We fought that giant chicken?
He's the one that you wanted me to put the moves on.
Yes! However, I must apologize for that today, as I now seem to understand that you had feelings for someone else, and I'm sorry for trying to push you down the path of love.
Yeah, much like you down the esophagus of a froghemoth, I understand.
Alright, listen. Not everyone here needs to know.
No.
Probably not wise to talk about me almost being eaten with my wife in the room.
I gave her a smile.
Somehow I think he's been through worse.
Oh yeah, there's also worse.
Gordon
Or
is
better.
Gordon is like putting up an easel. That's like he pulls out and he like starts writing down like locations on it. And he writes down like weird path in Northall Woods, and then weird cave under Orborough ?
Do you know anything? It sounded like the shovel knew things. The chimes perhaps know anything to help.
The Chimes and I are not as tight as the Shovel and Zach.
To be fair, me and Suni have been together a long time.
It's true.
Floriana gives you a weird look when you say that.
I pull out my chimes and just tinkle them a little bit, but not enough to set them off.
Right, not the action. Yeah. You can chime them without fear. There's intent involved.
I mean nothing by that, of course.
Gordon looks to GTF and he points to, on the map, he points to the Bayrock Keep Isle, and he says, so what else did you find there? I know you were going in that direction, I believe.
Well, wasn't that the island where we found Floriana and...
Yeah, but the GTF
See-
did things there too.
Oh.
Right. See. Excavators left there a long time ago. GTF went there for, I forget exactly the same reason. I think it was just the cult that we were doing. Because we got the boat from the merchant dude.
And he pointed you in that direction.
Yeah, it was just he was working from it, and we just, like, kind of followed it as the general, like, status quo of dealing with the cults.
So were they there again? In that...
Well,
They were.
what about the ice island? I don't have a character in here to talk about it, but the ice island that was here where Snow's guy was.
For the GTF that saw that, they saw it like floating, it listing against the cliffside as you guys were motorboating towards Bayrock Keep. Snow would know that.
I will notate that on the map and say yes. The ice cult, I suppose, was floating out in the ocean.
Did you? And you took, and you, I believe you told me via sending that you took care of it.
We did.
So we don't need to
Wait.
worry about that anymore.
There's an ice cult?
First I'm hearing of it too.
He looks to Snow to explain as he X's out that area.
Well, he was an ex-parishioner of mine.
Now an ex parishioner of yours.
Yes. He is, the parishioner has perished. And
Good job.
I do enjoy Levitt.
he had created essentially a castle made from ice out on the water as a stronghold.
Not a very big emphasis on the strong.
No, he was a little too blinded by the idea of making me doubt my goddess.
Wait, don't you pray to a goddess of ice?
I do. He thought his powers could surpass hers, but they could not.
Interesting.
I can't remember if it was Mortraeth or in Afon that we killed a couple different cults.
Well,
members.
you encountered air cultists and water cultists in Mortrath. You heard about water cultists in Afon. And you heard about missing people from Afon, and that's what led you to the Sky Pierce Peaks.
That's right.
They came across this.
Now he writes down Afon missing individuals. Did you take care of them? Did you manage to find them? Says Gordon.
Well, we found those ones in the Sky Pierce Peaks, and we were able to release a whole bunch of bird people.
They have escorts taking them to safety. I don't know if they arrived to the location though.
That's good. And did you clear out that area in the Sky Pierce Peaks?
Don't
Except
believe
for
so.
one strange individual.
Yes?
Yeah, there was a man in the water, wasn't there?
I thought he died.
There's
Did he?
also a woman on the mountain.
Yes, I don't think we've dealt with Arisi.
Who is this Arisi? He writes down her name.
She led the air cultists in the Sky Pierce Peaks. She was the one above Ashwick.
He puts her name in a box. And then
Yeah, she
air
was
cult
on
leader.
top of a mountain with this very strong blowing wind. We couldn't get up there.
The gale was too much. We were worried.
Sounds to me like she has command of a great power and is using it to defend whatever stronghold she has left.
We killed a lot of cultists there, though, so I imagine it's probably just her left there, maybe some of her entourage.
Do you poor souls tied to stone towers, stone pillars?
Yes, it appears that for their initiates, they don't feed them or give them food or water, and drink. They just strap them to a pillar and let them rot.
He shakes his head and kind of shudders at that thought. Have you seen any more Earth cultists about?
I don't believe so.
Not since we found Renwick in the north border.
Perhaps we should check in on Renwick soon.
All eyes on Delia.
Oh, I mean, I can do that tomorrow, but I can't do it right now.
Okay, well,
We'll check on your.
I think it's her boyfriend.
We prefer interest.
It's complicated, okay? It's complicated.
Is he an ally?
A very
Oh,
powerful
yes.
one.
Well,
I
then-
think that's complicated too, okay?
Well, if he is in Orboro, check on him. See if you can figure out what the status of Orboro is. If you say he's powerful and hasn't been able to help, then I fear that he may be handling something else. And he writes down Orboro, Earth Cult, ?
We haven't. I don't know about any other way shield, but we haven't heard anything of Riverend. Have you heard anything from that area?
I've heard. He says I've reached out to the way shields that are out there to bring them back. They actually should be on their way. They'll probably a few days off yet. And he strokes his beard and he says I should probably tell them that it's fine to return. But as far as the status, they didn't mention anything pertinent.
Well, that's good.
It's an unknown. He puts Riverend in a ?
I guess I should probably come clean.
Gordon turns around and looks at you.
I just remembered something before I get into that. Wasn't there something in the bog as well? Something that a certain Miss Colgare was looking for? I wink at Tadias.
Right. There is a cycle. They churns out new artifacts every once in a while. She goes there. And we had to leave because Ashwick was threatening the excavation.
He leans down and he draws a line from that area. He asks you where, and then he draws a line from that area to the Sky Pierce Peaks and says he was probably following you. And then he goes back to his easel and writes down. He just kind of starts drawing connecting lines to these areas, which I'll make later. I'll send over Discord.
Well, I guess no further ado. I've learned something about myself. Do you remember? I believe it was a couple hours ago, yesterday or something. Gordon, I asked you if you knew the name Zaman Rule.
Vaguely.
Do you know anything of this name?
It's probably something in some arcane lore that I may have parsed over in some of my studies.
Well, according to Dolir, and when he said it, I got a flash of memories. I am he.
And who is he?
I am Zaman Rule. I'm apparently the quintessential challenger of Imix.
He just kind of looks at you. Floriana just kind of looks at you.
Apparently I'm a reincarnation of elemental lord of such.
Suni's pipes up and thinks to you. Zachariel, you, for all intents and purposes, you are Zaman Rule. You have his soul and a part of his body that was left. I can sense this in you.
Okay, new information come to light from my shovel. I am Zaman Rule. Of his soul and my soul and part of his body that was left.
I'm not going to dignify that with an answer.
That's why I didn't ask it out loud.
It sounds crazy, but I believe Doelir. He's giving me no reason not to.
Floriana is just like, she looks flabbergasted. And she just blinks several times. So, what? Does that mean you're a god?
Well, I don't think I'm a god. I think maybe just a hero of another age.
She kind of nods and like looks down, and then she looks back at Zachariel and says, we should not let Sihara know until maybe she's a bit older."
Yeah, I think I would like to understand it a bit more than what I do now.
She nods slowly.
Tadias is going to grab one of those arrows, and he's going to start working on that while this is happening.
What's he doing?
He's going to do his little artifact thing where he can see what it was made.
Ooh. Oh, I like that. Okay. How long does that take?
I think it's 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Look, I haven't used it in a while.
All right, we'll assume that for now.
I'll put a key for you.
Yeah. Okay. So that's happening. So Gordon leans over the table and like starts like putting his finger in places and like just kind of, it looks like he's thinking. And he says, "What else did you find in the Conadir Forest? Anything recent?"
I specifically remember this. A group of fire cultists, they were saying something about the wood would burn, as they were planning something for it. It may already be in motion.
Great.
Well, that was what that elf was explaining to us, is that he was in need of help because the wood was on fire. So they may need support there. There may be fire cultists as we speak.
He writes on the easel, "Forest fire."
It's a little on the nose, Gordon.
He looks back and he says, "Well, it is what it is."
Also, I would be worried. I had an interaction with an orc in that wood. Zachariel takes out the orcish sword that he has on his back.
Oh yeah, that band of orcs was in there with the children.
Those orcs, much like two hobgoblin friends here, are not total savages. They do understand a shred of honor. No offense, Yadek, or Vardek and Mardek.
But Marek just goes, "Hmm." Right. That's. I mean, I was aware that there were orcs in Conadir.
Yes, but we were always told that there were savages.
This was not a savage group. I mean, there were individuals who had issues, but they were just raising their families. There were a lot of sick ones there. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It was some kind of blight that they had.
Do you think that there could be one of those anti-elemental things in there?
You didn't feel anything when you were in there.
I didn't feel anything, no. But I mean, could they be poisoning or harming the native people of that area, like the orcs? Or is this more of a natural, we think?
Gordon thinks for a moment and says, "Could just be plain bigotry."
Could be.
Well, okay. So it looks like there are several things we need to check up on. We have whatever's under Orborough. That deserves being looked at, I think. That path through the Northall Woods. engaging with...
Large crazy lady on the mountain.
Yes, engaging with...
You know, I'm remembering something, or maybe you guys already caught this. But those groups of individuals that were walking when we were coming back from the Sky Pierce Peaks, did you guys talk about them?
Yeah, he did. He didn't mention that they had the same symbol as... do you mean the individuals you saw coming back from Feathergale Spire?
When we were coming back and we saved them and then we helped them get back on the road,
Oh, those guys.
they had a symbol. They had a cultist symbol.
No, they didn't.
I believe it.
They did not.
I remember when we were walking down this road, we came across a group of people in robes that had a symbol, but we hadn't seen it.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm trying to find.
To
I
remind...
remember making a check on it, but I don't remember ever getting anything from it, like a gold brick. Well,
to remind you, it was a group of people. They had a palanquin with them, and they were walking toward the sky, or not Sky Pierce Peaks. They were walking toward Feathergale, and I guess now that your characters are thinking about it, they had this symbol that you had seen again.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Tadias, is that one of the ones from the book?
pull out the book, flip it open, find it on one of those pages, probably around Ashwick.
Sure is.
Howling hatred. Here.
But then he looks at Gordon looks at the three original members of GTF and says, wait, no. Three original members? Yeah, three original members of GTF says, you went back there, right? After they saw that group of people. What did you see when you got there?
Yes.
Remind
I
me.
made friends with a giant vulture.
Did you see any of those people with the symbols there?
I know one of my parishioners was there.
All right.
I don't remember. Did we fight people there?
You fought a few people there, yeah. We were storytelling through it at the time, but you fought a few people and you found one of Snow's parishioners.
I just remember
Okay.
the parishioner.
And the people we fought were cultists?
Yes.
Okay. So Snow will relay that to Gordon.
But there weren't cultists there when you went there. He says to the excavators.
No, it was just the Feathergale Knights.
Well,
Whatever happened to them?
the thing about the Feathergale Knights was there was a bit of deceit happening. You see, my uncle, he knows the leader of the Feathergale Knights very well, and their communications were misinterpreted intentionally by the woman we mentioned before, Arisi, in order to antagonize Feathergale Knights against us. They were momentarily assisting the Howling Hatred. We've encountered them in the Sky Pierce Peaks. They are currently the escorts I mentioned earlier helping the Crow people.
See. Alright. That sounds like... Go on.
Perhaps they might have more information, but I think it'd only be about the woman that we left on the peak.
He nods. Writes down Feathergale Knights. Question them, potentially. Alright, so... places we need to follow up on. Orborough. The Conadir Forest. Sky Pierce Peaks. Is there anything else you can think of where there's cultish activity that needs to be dealt with?
I only count 3. Do one more, right?
We haven't seen much of the. Did Zachariel's going to look to Snell? Did you manage to take down anyone who looked like they may have been in ports inside that water place?
There was the man on the water bicycle.
Is Senna having trouble remembering?
Yes, I sure am.
The guy you were chasing down, he said he'll be damned before he dies for Gar. Then you chased him down and made him die.
I remember them making him die part. I don't remember him saying that.
He did say that. You overheard him like talking about that as you were like making your way in.
So this Gar person, I'm sure, is upper level.
Kind pipes up and says, "Oh right, they found me and then we explored a little bit more, but I don't think we saw the entirety of the place." And Gordon says, "What do you mean the entirety of the place? Didn't you said that they had a stronghold on top? What were you talking about?"
Oh, it goes much deeper than the stronghold.
I see. Turns around. Water Cult Stronghold. Bayrock Keep. Another loose end. Alright. We have a lot of work to do.
Well, I think the immediate threat would be the fact that Ganadale Forest is on fire, so one of our groups should go there.
I agree. Don't want to, there's a lot of important resources there for us. For Forstride and the region in general.
I will say this, I'm not opposed to not going there again. And Delia would like to see Renwick, so I think we should go to Orbor.
Our friend Maeve is probably heading into the forest. Perhaps it would be wise if we follow her in her footsteps.
Yes, in the morning I can send her a sending about Raridan and the Conadir Forest, if she's not already headed that way.
Would you help me with something? Snow, was it? We have a friend, a traveler that went with us. Her name is Illyria. She's probably in that forest. Would you mind making sure she is safe as well?
Delia pipes up and she says, "Well, I can message Illyria in the morning." And then Snow says that she also needs a night to send a sending.
Everybody's tapped out.
It's been a day.
It's been a day. So Gordon says, "Alright, well then, the excavators go to Orboro."
Back under the dirt for us, I get it.
And GTF will go to Conadir. Additionally, before we break, he looks over everybody. He says, "The times ahead are going to be very, very hard on us all. Not just Forstride, but the entire region of Couyrit-Dwolm is in danger. These powerful beings that..." He looks at Zachary and says, you said they seek to bring these powerful beings into the material plane."
That is the plan, from what I understand Suni has been telling. And we heard from Akka, the mages there were talking about it.
He says, he looks over at everybody, including... I'm going to take you guys back to the stage. This is how we'll end the session. He says, says, I can only ask you to do what we're discussing here. I cannot make you. And it would do my old heart a lot of good if I heard each of you promise to help rid our young, newly established place of civilization from being thrust into the brink of destruction. He looks across the room and he says, "What say you all?"
Aye.
Will you join me?
I'm in.
Will you join me in this pact? He looks to Ren. Will you join us in this pact? This affects.
Oh, for sure. I am more than willing to help. It sounds like these are the people we have to kill to save my brother. Well, would have saved my brother.
He says that's another. In fact, he turns around and he writes, "Murder of Grobash." That's another line of inquiry for us. Well then, did everybody kind of chime in? It's kind of hard to do over Discord, I understand.
I will aid in any way I can.
You know how
Zachariel
to-
looks at Floriana and places her arm around her and says, "Yes, we must make sure that this civilization continues and that our children will have a place to live."
She nods and she gives your waist a squeeze. Gordon says, "Does anyone else have anything that they want to add?" Gordon's.
Fox is going to slap her hand down on the table. Just tell me where I need to go.
He gives a smile to her and says, "Very good. I'm glad to hear that." And he doesn't say this, but Mike says, and with that, the Pact of Couyrit-Dwolm was forged, and will continue next week. Good night, Joy.
Bye, Joy.
Bye, Joy.
Night, Joy.
Night, Joy.